Originally announced in July 2017, CheatBreaker was one of the first and most hyped PvP client yet. It was created by the team behind MineHQ, which is a very popular practice and HCF server at the time. CheatBreaker was one of the first PvP clients to feature a client-side anti-cheat, which combined with the fact that you needed to use CheatBreaker to play on servers meant that cheating could pretty much be eliminated from PvP. CheatBreaker was a client for Minecraft 1.7.10 and had some really good looking mods that had never ever been seen before in a client. A lot of the mods that we see in today's clients, such as the keystrokes mods, CPS and FPS, and even the perspective mods, all came from CheatBreaker. It was also really customizable. For example, you could make the mods any color you wanted, drag them anywhere on your screen, something that was quite hard to replicate using Forge mods. But that didn't stop Zuxt, Pwns and Canalex making CheatBreaker mods, which I've reviewed on my channel and are some of the most viewed videos on my channel. CheatBreaker was extremely hyped. Only a few people had it, and the only way to get it was to either know the owners of MineHQ, be a YouTuber or streamer, or win a whitelist giveaway. The launcher was leaked, but since whitelist worked on an IP basis, no one could actually launch the client. CheatBreaker's hype eventually continued for well over a year before it was eventually released to the public in the summer of 2018. Alright guys, so I've managed to get my hands on one of the original versions of CheatBreaker. So here we go, it's just loading up right here. And here we go, here is CheatBreaker 1.7.10. So yeah, this is the main menu here. We've got options up here. General Minecraft options, cosmetics, can't connect to the server, count switcher up here. But yeah, let's go into my single player worlds here and let's have a look at CheatBreaker as we knew it. Looks pretty much like a standard client that you'll see nowadays, but this was pretty revolutionary back in the day. So if we go ahead and press right shift here, here are all of our mods. So what's really cool is it's actually remembered my profiles that I used to use on CheatBreaker. So I've got all of mine all set up here, all in different colors. Yeah, this brings back so many memories. This is really, really cool. So if we go into mods here, these are the mods that originally came with CheatBreaker. Yeah, that's it. There isn't actually that many. Compared to Lunar Client nowadays, there's literally hundreds. But back in the day, this was all you had. But some of these mods were pretty revolutionary, and a lot of them are still used on clients today. Keystrokes were really, really customizable. I believe Keystrokes was based off of a Forge mod, but CheatBreaker kind of made it their own. For example, they added stuff like the spacebar, which you could enable here, which wasn't available in the original mods. You can make it bigger and smaller. Wow. Yeah, that was a big thing back in the day as well, because obviously being a Forge mod, it was just one set standard size. You could make it any color you wanted as well, using this really cool menu. Literally any color you could set it to. There was just endless customizable options here. But yeah, compared to the original Forge mod, this was so much better. There was also the CPS as well. I believe CPS was a mod on Forge, but it wasn't as customizable as this. For example, I believe you could drag it anywhere on your screen, but you couldn't change the text color to anything, just like on the keystrokes. And the background was also made to fit with the theme of keystrokes, so it had a slightly bigger box compared to just a regular square box. So that could fit nicely under your keystrokes. We also had some mods that were lifted from BSPKR's mods, I believe. I believe that's how you say his name. For example, we got the potion effects here. Pretty much the same as the Forge mod, except you could change the colors. We had his direction HUD as well. We had the FPS mod as well here. Again, same style as the CPS mods. We also had stuff like motion blur. It doesn't really work for me for some reason, but a lot of people say it's really good. And we got stuff like boss bar that you can enable and disable. You could also enable and disable the scoreboard as well, which you couldn't do on vanilla. And you could also drag it anywhere on your screen as well, which was really cool. And there's also stuff like being able to hide and show the scoreboard numbers, which you couldn't obviously do in vanilla or with a Forge mod back in the day. I believe their coordinates mod was original. I don't think this was based off any kind of Forge mod. So again, you could change the scale, make it any color you want. Pretty clean coordinates mod, to be honest with you. We also had stuff like CheatBreaker settings, which you could go into here. So you could speak to your teammate through CheatBreaker as well. So you could set up your audio settings. There's some FPS boost settings as well, which doesn't really look like much compared to today's standards. We just got enable FPS boost, slow chunk loading, full bright and enchantment glint. Got team stuff, GUI blur, render settings. And we also had the custom crosshair mods, which I believe was a Forge mod back in the day, but obviously made its way into CheatBreaker, and it is actually fixed in this version of CheatBreaker, which is really good. So yeah, we can view the mods and their settings all here, as well as this pretty cool option. You could also change the scale of mods using the handles here, like that. And you could also go into the settings quickly just by hovering over it. And then you've also got your controls and stuff down here. So yeah, that was the original CheatBreaker. I think it's really cool and it's really revolutionized clients that we still have today. There's also the F5 mod as well, or perspective mod as it's now known. So you just hold down your key and you can look all around you, which was really good. CheatBreaker brought that to us. But yeah, really customizable mods and really cool smooth PvP experience, combined with the fact that it was a client-side anti-cheat, really sold CheatBreaker to a lot of people, including myself. I remember when I finally got CheatBreaker for myself, I downloaded it, I set it all up, got all my profiles and everything, and then I was just like, oh, is that it? You know, because there wasn't that many mods back in the day, and you could only really play MineHQ and servers like that with this client. But yeah, it was quite hyped. You could say overhyped. Still a really good client. Maybe not by today's standards, but still, it definitely paved the way for clients as we know them today. Unfortunately, CheatBreaker went downhill pretty quickly. With all the hype around it beginning to die out fast, one of the owners ended up getting exposed to be a predator. This caused a lot of concern in the community as to whether CheatBreaker was safe or not, whether it was spying through your webcam. All these kind of allegations really ruined its reputation, especially to newer members in the community. The owner in question eventually resigned in July 2018, but the damage was done and CheatBreaker and MineHQ closed shortly after. But then out of nowhere came Luna Client, which was made by the same team that bought us CheatBreaker, without the shady owner of course. Luna Client used CheatBreaker as we knew it as a base for Luna Client, as well as added some new mods, and it was released around April 2019. Then 1.8.9 support came out, which was an instant success for Hypixel players. And CheatBreaker's legacy continues through Luna Client. Alright guys, I'm just opening up a 1.8.9 version of CheatBreaker now. So this is an unofficial version of CheatBreaker that's been ported to 1.8.9. And here it is, pretty much just like 1.7.10 version. If we go into our single player worlds here, as you can see by the F3 menu here, we are on 1.8. So if we press right shift here, right, so if you take a look at the mods here, as you can see, we've actually got quite a lot more than the 1.7.10 version. So we've got 1.7 animations, which basically every 1.8 client needs. As you can see, we've got credits to the original creators of the 1.7 animations here. Like I said, this is an unofficial version of CheatBreaker. And yeah, pretty much all the same really. We've got chat as well here. We've got environment changer here, which I'm guessing basically is just like time changer, changes the time. So you can put it here. You can make it day or night, so that's pretty cool. We've got enchantment glint as well here. We've got, oh wow, we can change the hit color in this version of CheatBreaker as well. So we can make that any color we want, which is pretty cool. We've got particle mods. We can enable and disable the name tag in F5. We've got Nick Hider, which is pretty good for stuff like Hypixel. We've got auto text as well, very customizable mods. You can set that up to do anything. TNT timer, block overlay, pack tweaks, perspective mod, hitboxes. Got all kinds of Hypixel mods and stuff in here. Got CPS, FPS, memory usage. Oh my god, we've got loads of mods. Wow, and we've even got pack display as well. And we've got motion blur, even better. I believe motion blur works with, if you do that, maybe? I don't know, it doesn't really work for me. And we've even got the pack folder mod. Okay, this is actually probably my favorite version of CheatBreaker so far. Wow, I can actually see myself using this. Animations are all good. This is really, really cool, to be honest with you. And it's got the CheatBreaker thing here. And if you guys want to check this out for yourself, I'll leave a link to it in the description down below. It's made by Telling. I know there are a lot of shady CheatBreaker links out there, but I definitely trust Telling's version. So yeah, definitely check that out in the description down below if you're interested in using CheatBreaker in 2022 on 1.8.9. Now, it's worth mentioning that the versions of CheatBreaker that I've shown you are just regular Minecraft clients. They don't have any kind of client-side anti-cheat or anything like that. And another project by them is Offline CheatBreaker, which you can get from their website right here. I'll leave a link to it in the description. And yeah, it's a pretty cool website. It looks really professional. It's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, which is really good to see. So yeah, let's go ahead and grab the Windows version. And here we go, Offline CheatBreaker. All right, and here we have the launcher here. So you can go ahead and log in to your Microsoft account here for your Minecraft. And here is the launcher. Look at this. So yeah, this looks, I don't know, I think it's light Luna, but it's not Luna. It's an original design, but it kind of gives me like old Luna vibes. We've got themes as well here, so you can change the theme down here. We've got servers as well here. So these are servers that are partnered with Offline CheatBreaker. We've got settings and stuff, RAM allocation. Also shows your specs here, which is quite cool or creepy. We've also got the about here. So yeah, let's go ahead and launch 1.7.10 and check out offline CheatBreaker, which you can actually get yourself from the website. I'll leave it in the description down below. All right, so here we are on the main menu, and I believe this is pretty much just like the 1.7.10 version that we checked out before. We just go into our mods here. Oh, they've added some pretty cool mods. So we've got server address, clock, all this kind of stuff here. Pack display, particle multiplier, ping. So yeah, this is pretty much like the latest 1.7.10 version of CheatBreaker right here. Let's go ahead and throw on one of my mod profiles and let's do some PvP. As you can see, we've got their favorite servers up here, their partnered servers. But I'm going to go on My Man Club. Alright, so it's been a while since I've actually played 1.7 PvP. I'm always playing 1.8, so it might feel a little bit weird, but we'll definitely try it out. But yeah, it just feels smooth. I don't know what it is. I just get really good old CheatBreaker vibes, and they've just nailed it down perfectly. Just playing some classic duels here. As you can see, my FPS is insane as well with this client, and I assume it'll probably be good for people on low-end PCs. So definitely check it out if you're looking for a new client, which I know a lot of you guys in my comments always are. Right, come on, let's wrap up this fight. This person's taking forever.
A few moments later.
You can tell I'm really good at playing and commentating at the same time. There we go, GG. But yeah, I've got no faults with offline CheatBreaker whatsoever. It can't even run either. Oh, poor guy. So yeah, that's going to be the video, guys. I hope you guys all enjoyed this look back at CheatBreaker. I quite like doing this kind of documentary style, commentary style kind of video, just looking back at the good old days. But yeah, let me know if you kind of like these videos in the comments down below. Something a little bit different today because I didn't have that many ideas. But yeah, thank you guys all for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Peace.